Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This one is going to be the review of the True PX5 glove and blocker. I already did an out of the box video that just went over the specs, and then this is going to be my thoughts after using it. So if you're really interested in the build specs of it, please go watch another video. But yeah, this isn't going to be an overly in-depth or long video. Although I guess for me, even one of my not so long videos is still kind of long, but there's just not a lot to say about this. It's a lot of the same of the reviews I've done of their past glove and blockers of the 9X3, the 12.2, the 12.1 that I've had. Okay, I've had like every line of glove and blocker of their Catalyst or 12 line. Okay, and there's some minor little tweaks, but overall it just feels like a lot of the same thing. And so anyway, yeah, let's start with the blocker before I just start ranting like too much on that. But we're gonna start with the blocker, okay? But what I just said kind of goes for both the glove and the blocker, okay? So the one thing, noticeable little baby improvement is the sidewall. Not that the sidewall was even really like that bad with their past blockers. It was still pretty decently like sturdy, and that's what I like in a sidewall. I like a really sturdy sidewall that almost acts as a second side of a blocker. But this is really, and you know, it is still technically a two-piece sidewall because you can see there's the delineation here. But other than like Bauer's one-piece sidewall, this is probably the second stiffest sidewall of a blocker I've tried. I mean, it is better than my Vaughn blocker as far as how rigid that sidewall is. It's not, like I just said, it's not quite like a Bauer, but I really have no complaints. This is really good as far as the sidewall goes, so I was happy about that. But that's really where like anything I was impressed with, that's where it ends. Like, other than that, it just kind of felt like, you know, I've never come across a blocker I just can't use at all. But it's just, there's just nothing that special to me about this blocker. You know, it did all the basics. There's nothing that you're going to sit there and be like, oh, it's terrible at this. But like I said, other than maybe the sidewall thing, there's also nothing where, for me, it's really standing out above and beyond any other blocker. And it still feels like 90% of like the same blocker from let's say going back to the 12.1, okay? So probably the two biggest issues I have with it, that it's not even necessarily about the design of the actual blocker board, although I think they could thin it out a little bit. But look, even if they want to keep it like that, they could keep this blocker board exactly how this is. But just something, and this has been the running line, a running thing through the line ever since I've been using it. Just this inside palm area is just not comfortable for me for a couple of reasons. And I mentioned this in the out of the box about like, there's just something about the way this palm is stitched that just makes it feel tight. And I don't think it's a matter of being the overall size of the palm, because I don't feel like like it's too short and my fingers are too long or something like that. It's just fits in there tight, and especially in this little thumb area here. And it's just kind of the way, as far as I can see, it's just like the way it's sort of stitched in there and maybe cut in that little area. So it's not like I think that I need, an XL palm or something like that. I mean, like I've mentioned before, I don't have overly big hands. I'm 5'11". I feel like they're about normal hands for somebody who's 5'11". But it's just not, it's probably one of the most uncomfortable palms I've used. Now, does it absolutely stop me from doing what I want to do? No, but you just have to kind of fight through it, and it's annoying. And especially if you've seen footage of me playing and stuff, and you've just heard me talk in the past, I do a lot of stick work as far as poke checking, and I'm just very aggressive with guys coming in around my net. And this just makes it a little harder to do that stuff because, you know, you have to kind of release your hand and fingers to shoot the puck out for poke checks or do certain things. And then, you know, again, to grab it back down to where it was originally. And doing that, again, it's not that I can't do it with this. It just makes it a little more of a chore and a little more uncomfortable because of how tight this is. So, and this is, you know, every blocker I've had of theirs, I've had that same issue with. So I don't get it. I don't know what it is they do exactly, but I just know it feels super tight right here. And even just in general, I feel like it could be a little loosened up. You know, not bigger per se for like a bigger sized hand, it just feels like it fits too tight to be comfortable. And then kind of to go along with that, I think they could slim down some of this padding in here, if not just get rid of some of them altogether. Like, I think this is unnecessary. This all feels very thick, and like I said, this part of the thumb is already tight, and then I have like this thick padding here also pressing against the thumb. You know, with both the glove and the blocker, it seems like protection is a very big concern of True's in their design of this stuff. And I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, you obviously need protection, but I've used many other glove and blockers that don't have the bulkiness and extra padding like this does, and it's fine. I think it's overkill. Yeah, and then another minor change they did was this cuff is a little different. They really cut down on a lot of the material, but even with that, I had to adjust this. This is all Velcro on the sides. I pretty much have it as far down this way as I could get it just to really open that up. Honestly, I could do without any of this cuff at all. I don't think this is, like, if they're already getting rid of all this material anyway, like, just get rid of this altogether. I don't feel like this does anything. I like I said, even with the little material that was there, I'm still just trying to get it out of the way because it's just useless. It's not offering really any protection. It's just like extra material there. So I pretty much just adjust it with the Velcro to a point where it's just like almost completely out of the way and just isn't really doing much. Yeah. So I just don't really like, yeah, it's a little bit of a different cuff design, but it's also just kind of like, what is it doing? I don't see necessarily a benefit or whatever of it. I think you can just kind of go the Bauer Shadow route, which has basically no cuff. Or you could maybe even go like my Vaughn VX1 blocker route, where it has more material here, but it's very loose and it sticks out more this way. So it's really just out of your way. But again, you could argue then that's just material there for no purpose. So I don't know. They kind of redesigned this cuff with this, but it's like a lateral move, I guess. I don't know. It's not doing a whole lot one way or the other. But so that being said, like, you know, wrist flexion was decent with this. Would I say it's the absolute best? Probably not, but I had no problem projecting my blocker, doing anything like that. I never felt like there was an issue. As I said in the out of box, going over the specs, this blocker did not come with their revolutionary angle pad they offer that they can put in the blocker. I don't think that makes a difference or would change how I feel about this blocker. I've never felt I needed that. To be honest, Brian's at a custom level had something similar years ago. So it's not necessarily something new or revolutionary. And if you feel you need it, great. I don't feel I need it, so I don't feel like I'm missing anything with this because I never felt like I couldn't get the blocker to the angle towards the puck that I needed to. And not even with this blocker, with any blocker, that's just not a problem for me personally, okay? So the fact that this doesn't have it, I don't think it's a big deal at all. But if it's something you feel like you need, hey, you can order it custom. But yeah, in general, like, again, it was okay with just about everything. It's okay. Like the flexion and presenting the blocker, fine. Not blowing me away in any way, not bad. The rebounds off it, you know, I always compare, because to me, Bauer makes the absolute best blocker, and it's not even a question. So yeah, nothing compares to a Bauer blocker, especially with the pop off the face of it with the rebounds. With my Vaughn VX1 blocker, I was actually pretty impressed with how close that came to the Bauer. because I had gotten an extra piece of Lexan added to the face of it. So that has pretty damn good pop too. This is just kind of like middle of the road, like whatever, you know, like, yeah, you get a really blasted shot to it. Yeah, it'll send it out pretty good. But lower speed shots, it doesn't do a whole lot. In fact, I actually like, it stood out to me a couple of times. I noticed that there were sometimes pucks hitting this and I really felt like the pucks didn't go anywhere. And, you know, sometimes it can be hard to say that it's really the blocker or it's just some circumstance of the shot and the angle and the speed that's just not causing it to. So, but I just feel like it happened a few more times with this blocker, noticing it, than with other blockers. Let's put it that way. But is it overall terrible, the pop, the rebound off it? No. Again, though, just doesn't stand out in any way to me. It's just whatever. Trying to think of what else. But yeah, and then like I said, though, obviously with protection, then that's absolutely no issue because, like I said, they're even overboard with the protection. So yeah, if that's your main concern, then I guess, you know, maybe you could say that is some way this stands out above the rest, whatever. To me, I think it's vastly overkill with what they do with all the padding in here. But to say it's very good, I can't see any puck getting anywhere to sort of injure your fingers, whatever, with this thing. Any kind of like paddle down play was fine. I had no issue with that. You know, just like holding the stick was fine as far as the stick integrating into this section. But like I said, with how kind of tight and uncomfortable all this is in here, it was just a little more uncomfortable or not quite as smooth to do some of the stick movements I do with poke checking and challenging shooters and coming out to knock pucks away from people and all that kind of stuff, intercept passes. So look, overall with the blocker, you know, yeah, I could use it just like I could use any blocker, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get this blocker. For me personally, there's nothing special. You know, the craftsmanship's pretty good. That's always something which you get. But like, as far as like performance and what it does, I think it's a bit of an outdated model. I think there's some, like I said, the stuff I'm complaining about, it's pretty easy fix. It's not like they have to reinvent the wheel to change that. And I think even just those little changes would at least make it feel better. Even again, you're not revolutionizing anything, you're not doing anything crazy, but it would at least improve the feel of the blocker on your hand. But as is, look, if you're a true fanboy, you've been using it for years and you like it, then it's just going to be a lot of the same thing. Nothing of the little changes with this, I feel like, is going to make you not like it all of a sudden if you have been a true blocker person. So, you know, that's kind of my lukewarm take on this blocker. Not super impressed or anything, but I've never been really super impressed with any of their blockers since they've been Lefebvre or True, whatever, with the 12.1 and on. So let's move on to the glove. With the glove, I actually have a little more of a positive experience, but again, like I said in the intro, it's just still kind of feels very much the same, and it's a lot of the same issues with the blocker. So here's the glove. I feel like this glove was easier to close than any past True glove I've had. Definitely not the easiest glove altogether I've ever had. My Vaughn closed better, my Bauer gloves have closed better, but just comparing it to past True models, I feel like it does close better. Exactly why, I don't know. It's a little bit of a conundrum, or not conundrum, a little bit of a question for me. I would really, I guess, have to see the internals of it and then compare it to internals of an older glove to see if they did something that makes it easier to close. Because just looking at it, there's nothing very obvious for me compared to the older gloves of, oh yeah, that's why this is easier to close. I will say, I do feel like this glove is very receptive to like temperature, like if you want to use that to break it in. So for instance, sometimes people use hot temperature to break in their gloves. I wouldn't recommend putting it in an oven necessarily, but like if you leave this in a hot car and then take it out to use it, which has happened, not that I really did on purpose to do that, but just sometimes if I pack my car you know, several hours before I have to go to a game, and I live in South Florida. It's hot as fuck down here. So like the inside of the car gets up over 100 degrees and just being parked outside my house. I'll notice when I get to the ring, take it out, like it is that, then it's like super easy to close and like really buttery soft. Now that doesn't last, because once you're in the rink and it starts getting cold, it stiffens up a little bit. But I do feel like it's very receptive to that. So if you're someone that has used some sort of heat, like maybe a skate oven, like I said, again, I wouldn't put it in just like a regular kitchen oven, because there's too much room for error with that. But if you put it in like a skate oven, or just you like to leave it in your hot car to create that effect, it is receptive to that. But yeah, so again, I do feel like that is a slight improvement with this over past True gloves, but I couldn't tell you why. That being said though, I still didn't catch that great with this like I do again with my Vaughn. My Vaughn XP glove is just a freaking puck vacuum. That is I've mentioned this in multiple videos, that is my top glove, at least for me. I've never caught as good as I do with that glove. And like, in fact, I feel like not only does it allow me to catch like just how you should, but like, I feel like it actually, like my glove hand is better. Like if you see me play with that glove, I look like I'm like, damn, that guy's glove hand is pretty good. Whereas there's been gloves I've had where it's like, I can't catch shit with it. But that Vaughn glove is just awesome for me. But then even like my Bauer Hyperlight gloves, I felt like I could catch a little better with this than this one. But now it's not so much, the closure aspect of it, because like I said, I'm able to close this. So it's not like that's why I kind of had trouble catching pucks with this. But for me, I think it's part of how this glove is just very chunky. If I don't get the puck right in the pocket, if I get it even just like around here, I'm probably not catching it. Whereas with my Vaughn glove, even if it comes out to this area, that glove just funnels it to the pocket and in. This, you really have to catch it in the pocket, otherwise it's popping right out. And I think that's because of the extra padding, thicker materials in here that causes that. So like what I noticed when I was using it is pucks that were further away from my body that had a reach that's like easier to get it in the pocket, that I caught. Anything out and up or down, whatever, because then you're leading with the pocket and it's easier to get it in there. I felt like the times that I was having like more of the pop outs and stuff and things that handcuffed me was stuff closer in the body, like from like this to this region and up and down, where you have to kind of try to bring the glove in or try to turn it over. And just because of the way this glove feels, the bulkiness of it on my hand, it didn't really feel comfortable. Like with my Vaughn glove, I easily make catches sometimes that are coming like, let's say around here, and I'll just turn my glove and catch it like that. No issue. With this, it felt a little cumbersome to try to do that. And then the other way, like if you try to do something like this, it just, I don't know, it just kind of like felt like it was handcuffing me on pucks kind of in close to the side, to the glove side. So, the catching was kind of up and down. Like I said, in certain situations, yeah, I caught it pretty good, especially for a True glove compared to my experiences in the past that weren't very positive with this. But overall, yeah, it's just not like something I would choose to really use as my glove, because there is a pretty distinct difference between this and how good I catch with my Vaughn glove. So like as I kind of touched on with the padding and bulkiness of it, like that's one of my complaints also with this glove, and it's been a complaint with this True gloves in the past, and like I kind of just talked about with the True blocker, I don't understand why this glove is so chunky when it's their game ready glove. Now look, I completely understand if you like a glove with more padding, if you play against pros or whatever, and you want to get a pro palm, a practice palm, whatever. But that's why they have those options, right? I mean, True has game ready, pro palm, practice palm. That's their 3 levels. Vaughn, other brand, just about I think every brand now has at least 2 levels, if not 3 levels of different protection. So my Vaughn glove is a game ready. And again, part of why I like it is it feels very organic on my hand, because it does, you can tell it's like thinner padding, it's less padding, it just feels more part of your hand, and you really get a feel for the pucks on your hand. Like you can, when you catch it, you can feel it, you can feel where it hits on the glove, and you just have a better idea of it. With this, there's like times where I caught it and I wasn't sure if I caught it, or maybe I didn't catch it. And again, it's just, but there's like that uncertainty to it, because I just feel like I have no feeling for the puck and everything's dead. There's no feeling because of how thick and protective it is, which again, yes, that can be good if you're looking for that. I'm not. Like, that's why I got the game ready. I don't need that protection. So I don't understand why their game ready is still like this. Like, to me, this would be Vaughn's pro palm, at least, if not a practice palm for Vaughn. But this is their game ready. I just don't understand when if you're giving people options, then make that differentiation between them. Like, have the game ready be less padding, and okay, so you feel more shots, but then hey, if that's what you want, that's what you want. And if you don't, you would have ordered something else like the pro palm or the practice palm. So to me, this just has too much padding. It's too thick and chunky for my liking. And it's a shame, because again, it seemed, like I said with the block, it seems like a very easy thing they could change to make it feel a lot better. I do think that would improve the catching even more. But it is what it is, and that's not how they have it. So, it's just, again, it's meh. It's an okay glove. It's not the worst. I could still at least do some catching with it. It's not like I couldn't catch shit with it. Like, there's been just some nightmare gloves I've tried in the past, but all in all, this is at least third on my list of gloves I would want to use, if not fourth or something. But like, yeah, I just True's glove and blocker have just never really done it for me. But again, if you have been using it, like I said with the blocker, if you have been using it, you're a fanboy, and it's going to be a lot more of the same thing. And maybe you would also notice too about how it seems to close a little easier than I feel like past gloves of theirs have closed. As far as like the backhand part of this, I was able to strap it in a way that I kind of pulled some of this up and kept the strap pretty loose, so I'm able to have that wrist flexion to present the glove. So that's no issue. But I mean, I will say I'm probably kind of in the minority with how loose I wear my gloves. So if you're somebody that does like to tighten the glove more, I don't know that you're going to have as comfortable an experience with it, because I really felt like when I first used it, it was a little tighter and it wasn't as comfortable. And part of it getting a little more comfortable for me was changing the strapping, loosening a lot of it up and kind of velcroing things so that they're kind of pulled up and out of the way. So again, kind of like the overall theme, you see a theme developing here. They're doing a little too much. Do less, True. Do less. Like, I feel like, again, you could simplify this to get some of this stuff out of the way. I don't know, maybe just articulate it better. But I mean, it is doable on your own. But like, look, like for instance, you see how I have to Velcro this. Like, most people would have this maybe down here or here. I have it all the way at the very tippy top to push it up and out of the way as much as possible. So it is doable to adjust it, but I also feel like it's something True could also change, because it feels about the same that they've been doing again for generation after generation now. And something I've said in other True review videos too with the glove and blocker is, again, they have two lines. You have a catalyst line and you have the hazardous line. So if you want a line that stays the same old school just because, I don't know, you're passionate about it and you think you have a lot of fanboys that like that, that's fine. Keep it as one of the lines, the catalyst, let's say, and then have the hazardous be the more experimental, newer line. You make some changes, you see what, that can, again, your experimental line, right? And then like, if you see something that really works, you can carry that over also to the catalyst line. If you see something that was a miss for one generation of the hazardous line, hey, don't do it again, whatever. But it was just one line, one generation of one line of it. But like their hazardous and catalyst glove and blocker it's the same glove and blocker. It's just the graphic to match that line. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, they have the options for game ready, pro palm, practice palm, plus also different angles. They have the 580, 590, 600. I'm a 590 guy. That's what this is. That's all stuff, you know, you can customize if you're going custom, but yeah, I don't understand why it's like they refuse to really do any big changes to their line, to try new things. Again, it just feels like I don't know if lazy is the right word, but like, I don't know. Just, can we try something different? Can we try to modernize a little bit? Can we make a line that's more streamlined for people that want that? I don't understand why they don't want to do that. But look, overall, they're not terrible. It's just not something I'm impressed with and I would go out of my way to use. It's a very medium reaction by me. But if you've been a true guy for years, you're probably still going to like this. It's just going to be like nothing new. So kind of another thing I guess you could say about this glove and blocker is if you're just looking, especially if you're looking for like plain white or you're not looking for anything custom colors, whatever, just get an older one. Get the 9X3, hell, get the 12.2. You're not missing anything with this new stuff, okay? You're going to get pretty much the same experience with those old ones. And if you can get those cheaper or clearance new or used, I would say go for that. There's really no need to go out of your way to buy the PX5 stuff, glove and blocker new, because it's really nothing much better about it. So, but yeah, so that's this review video. As always, if you have any questions or whatever, or just comments, leave them. I always respond. If there's anything I didn't go over that you have a question on, I can't think of anything, but if you have any more questions, I always answer. Don't hesitate. But yeah, that's my review of the True PX5 glove and blocker, and I'll see you in the next one.